Hello, viewers. Welcome to the YouTube channel Lex Consilium Foundation. I'm Major General Neelendra Kumar, and in the playlist Inse Miliye, we have a very distinguished resource person here today, and that is Air Marshal Raghunath Nambiar, one of the most distinguished and experienced fighter pilots of Indian Air Force. He's from 58th NDA Course, 127th Air Force Course. He served with the Indian Air Force from June 1981 to the end of October 2019. And during this period, two things that are very, very significant. One is that he had been an experimental test pilot and himself a member of the Society of Experimental Test Pilots. And secondly, he had the experience of commanding two combat air commands. He commanded the Eastern Air Command and then the Western Air Command. He'll be talking about his experiences of that time. During this period, he is known to have on record 5,100 hours of flying, accident-free flying, and out of that 2300 hours is on Mirage 2000 alone. Now if I can say, and many would have said before me, that he is India's Mirage man, because that long experience of flying not many would have, and he had the experience exposure of flying 42 different types of aircraft. He was also the test pilot for Hindustan Aeronautical Limited's Tejas project, and well, these are the credentials. They indicate to you the eminence, the exposure and profile of the expert to whom we are talking today, the Air Warrior. And I'll start by welcoming you, Air Marshal Raghunath Nambiar. Raghu, my first question is that having regard to such a long and prominent profile, who was your role model? Who do you consider your role model and why?
If I were to go back and think about who were my role models, first I would name my fathers.
Okay. Yes,
He
he
was,
himself was from Indian Air
yes,
Force. Yes.
that's right. And it is because of him that I became what I am. I learned from his strengths, his weaknesses. I aspired to step into his shoes. He was an officer of the Indian Air Force. He was from the navigation branch. He used to fly Liberators, and after that the Canberras. He used to fly the Canberras, and he used to fly the Liberator aircrafts in the past, and he was very experienced in flying, extremely talented in terms of his mental makeup, a very strong man who did not budge from his principles, and that's what I took forward in my life.
That's
From him,
remarkable.
learn from him, both from the point of view of what should be my strengths and what should not be my weaknesses. In that form, I think my father was my role model. From the Air Force itself, I have a number of role models. It would be wrong on my part to name any one of them, because I have learned from all my seniors, my peers, and I believe from my juniors as well. Everybody has some expertise, and I'm sure as human beings, we would be smart enough to find out where a good thing is and take it up from there.
It is something fantastic, very, very important that during these 4 decades of your career, you had an open mind, you were eager to learn, and whosoever, including your juniors, impressed you, and you noted that he has some sterling quality, you were able to observe and try and emulate that. That's fantastic. Moving on, my next I'd like to request you is that you have earned fame as an experimental test pilot. Now, having regard to your experiences in that skill as a test pilot, what are your impressions about the future in that domain?
Test flying is something unique to flying itself. If it were not for test flying, I don't think flying would have gone the way it did. And
Okay.
as long as human flying in the process of thinking, there will always be a test pilot who will be required, not only to test fly the aircraft, even more importantly, and well before that, the test pilot is involved in the design, the very design of the aircraft itself, the capability that it assumes to see, the way that it's going to be piloted in future, the way it is going to operate in a given scenario. Everything is dictated to a large extent by the thought process of the test pilot involved. Aircraft designer has its role to play. The various fields into which the aircraft design gets into, aerodynamics, systems, control engineering, you name it, all these disciples do not have a holistic view of the aircraft as much as a test pilot does, as to what is the entire aircraft holistically as seen by an individual and the way it is going to fight both in peace and in war. And given that fact that we are in a generation today where air power is a preeminent part of whatever way we fight wars. Test flying, and to that extent, flying the aircraft, whether it is be manned or unmanned, will be a test pilot function.
You have brought it out very lucidly. But I'd like to ask you that in your career of 40 years, and you had a long stint as a test pilot also. In that domain, have there been many remarkable changes, upgradations, new innovations, or techniques in the area of test piloting?
Test flying, per se, is a very slow process, very dedicated process where all the various variables, risks are fully analyzed. And when everything is settled and the matter is to a large extent in conformity with safety, is that aircraft is flown. However, test flying is not as simple as it is made out to be. Because there may be many instances where test flying has to be done in a sort of a rapid fashion, in a quick fashion, without the paucity of time which is available for a normal test flying activity. Let me give you the example of Kargil.
Yes.
During Kargil, which was just fought for just around 50 days, there are numerous innovations that the Indian Air Force did in test piloting or in clearing various equipment and capability to
Right.
make it work in that war.
Okay.
It will never be possible that we will go into a war with everything which we want. We will realize when the war begins that there is some niche capability which we probably had thought about but did not have the time or the energy to put effort into, suddenly becomes irreplaceable and becomes the most important thing that we could do at that point in time. And that's where we would have to put in test engineering, test piloting, and capability build up in a very rapid fashion without the freedom of exercising safety through the usage of analysis and lot of time and resources. When that is not possible, there would have to be engineering judgment involved. There would have to be decisions which be taken in near real time. Some instinctive steps would have to be thought about so that we achieve success in quick time. We don't have the freedom to carry on testing to reach a level of proficiency. What we have to do is a quick fix, what in Indian terms is known as a jugaad, to get the
Yes.
things rolling fast before we lose time itself.
I think you have brought out something very significant, and that is suggestive that the test pilot, and when you mentioned about Kargil, would have to have some sort of imagination and innovative attitude to think out this so-called jugaad, apart from other qualities. So, thank you very much. Viewers, please stay with us, and our conversation, our interview with Air Marshal Raghunath Nambiar will continue. Thank you.